Welcome everyone to the study guide review video for the 7th grade unit 6 tests on solving equations, simplifying equivalent expressions, and solving inequalities. Okay, question 1. Which number line shows all of the values of x that makes the inequality 2x plus 1 is greater than negative 5 true? Okay, so in order to do this, you have to solve the inequality. So solving an inequality is just like solving an equation. You want to get x by itself. Here I have a plus 1. I'm going to get rid of that plus 1 by subtracting 1 from both sides of the inequality. That makes the 1 go away. I'm left with 2x on the left, which is greater than negative 6. Okay, you got to be careful with the negatives there. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. Remember, you can use a calculator on this quiz or in this test, and I recommend you do use them in moments like that just to make sure you're right and you're not making a silly mistake. Okay, and then I divide both sides by 2, and I'm left with x is greater than negative 3. Note, we don't flip the sign here. We're dividing by a positive number, so the sign stays the same. And then we're looking at which of these shows a graph of x is greater than negative 3. And that is going to be A. We have a open circle, open point. We're not including negative 3. And it's going to the right, greater than. All right, question 2. Kayla has a goal to hike at least 75 miles. She has already hiked 20 miles. She plans to hike n miles each week for the next 6 weeks. Which inequality describes the number of miles Kayla should hike each week to meet her goal? Okay, so the key word in this question really is at least 75 miles. So that means that she can hike 75 miles or more, right? That's what at least means. 75 or more is acceptable. So thus we're looking for a greater than or equal to symbol. Okay, at least means or more. And then we have that she started hiking 20 miles, and now she's hiking more each week. So that's going to be addition. So the correct answer here is C. Okay, so we want to have both that we're adding those 6 miles each month, and we have a greater than or equal to symbol because it's at least. Awesome. Okay, question 3. A store is having a sale where all shoes are discounted by 40%. Arturo has a coupon for $5 off the price of one pair of shoes. The store applies the coupon first and then takes 40% off the reduced price. Arturo pays $14.20 for a pair of shoes. Which equation describes this situation? Okay, so this question is a little tricky because it requires us to go back to our percents unit. And remember that if we are 40% off, then that means we start at paying 100% of the price and we subtract 40% of the price. So that means we pay 60% of the original price. So it's not A and it's not B. We don't have 0.4. We should have 0.6, which is 60% of the original price. Guys, so that's tough because you have to remember that. But it's going to be just like it on the test, so remember it now. And then we just have to figure out whether we have parentheses or not. So we have that Arturo has a coupon for $5 off the price of one pair. So that's the minus 5. The store applies the coupon first and then takes 40% off the reduced price. Okay, so that's going to mean that the answer is C because what's in parentheses happens first, right? So first, we're subtracting the $5 and then the coupon of the 60% is applied. So if we had the second one, this would mean they were taking 60% first. Because order of operations would say we multiply first, so we take 60% of the original and then subtract $5. So we have to think order of operations in parentheses first, $5 off first, and then we're taking the 60%. Cool. Okay. Question 4. Which of the following expressions show the factored form of k or 8k plus 20? So we're just looking for which of these is equivalent to 8k plus 20. So we could kind of do the area model box method for all of these and see which one gives us 8k plus 20. I mean, you might be able to do it in your head, just to be clear, but this is always good until we get to that level. So here we do 4 times 2k, which is 8k, and then we do 4 times 5, which is 20. So we get 8k plus 20, so that's going to be correct. Yeah, we can just briefly show this. If we use the area model, this would become 16k plus 64, which is not correct. This would become 8k plus, what's 12 times 8? 12 times 8, I feel like I should know that. 96. And then the last one, we would get 8k plus 160. Okay, so remember when we're having these parentheses, it's telling us to multiply the coefficient, the term outside of the parentheses, by the terms inside. And we're just seeing which one gives us this 8k plus 20. Okay, similar thing here. Which of the following is equivalent to 7 times x minus 2, the group 7x minus 2? So we have 7 times x, and we have 7 times negative 2, which is negative 14. So this is equivalent to 7x minus 14. Great. All right, question 6. Write an equivalent expression in expanded form. So this is the same skill. We have a fraction. Don't let us freak that out. Don't let you freak out by that, right? Nothing is changing here. So we have to do negative 1/3 times 9x. So this is going to be negative 3x. I'm going to write this and then I'll come back to the math in a second. And then we have negative 1/3 times negative 15. That's going to be positive 5. So the answer is going to be negative 3x plus 5. Okay. For this test, I am giving you a calculator, so you could do it on the calculator, but an MCAS question could expect you to do that without a calculator. So just briefly reviewing, we're going to do negative 1/3 times 9. That's the same thing as 9 over 1. So then we multiply straight across and we get negative 9 divided by 3, which is negative 3. So that's how we got this, negative 3. And then we can do the same thing. We do negative 1/3 times negative 15. We can put that negative 15 over 1, and I get positive 15 divided by 3, which is equal to 5, positive 5. So that's where we're getting this from. Okay, again, I want you to be able to multiply fractions, and also you will have a calculator on test, so if you're not still feeling shaky on that, this isn't the test for that, but obviously try your best to learn it. All right, question 7. Write an equivalent expression in factored form. So this is what we've been doing, but in the reverse, so it's a little bit harder. We have that we get 24a and negative 18, and we're trying to figure out, right, like what could be the two things we can multiply to get that. So a is going to have to be here, somewhere in there. And we want to think about what's a number, it's a factor of both 24 and 18, so a number that's a multiple of both. There's actually many correct answers to this. 6 is a good one, so maybe I'll pull out a 6 here. And then we ask ourselves, 6 times what is 24? 6 times 4 is 24. And if you didn't know that, you could divide. And then 6 times what is negative 18? That's going to be negative 3. So you can't leave it like that. You need to have 6 times 4a minus 3. Okay, that is only one correct answer. You could also have 3 times 8a minus 6. Maybe that's it. Yeah, it might be it. Or slight variations of that. But if you have something that's different than that, just do what I just did, right? Do the box method for what you did and make sure you get 24a minus 18. Okay, question 8, solve each equation. You could do this multiple ways. I'll do it the way where we expand it first and then we solve it. But you can look back at previous videos and notes. There are 2 ways to do it. As long as you get the right answer, that is fine. So this becomes 30 equals 2x plus 6. Because we are expanding this, we have 2 groups of x plus 3. So we have 2x and we have 6. All right, and then to solve it, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides of the equation, and I get that 24 is equal to 2x. And then finally, x is being multiplied by 2, so I divide both sides by 2, and I get that 12 is equal to x. Cool. All right, similar thing for 9. We don't have the parentheses, so we don't have to deal with the expanding first, but we do have negatives involved. We do the same process though. We want to get x by itself by undoing whatever is around it in order to get rid of it and isolate x. So here I have a negative 17 or a minus 17, and to get rid of a minus 17 or a negative 17, I add 17, a positive 17 to both sides of the equation. That goes away. I bring down my negative 4x, and here I'm going to get positive 12. Again, I want you to be able to do that without a calculator, draw a number line, think about it, but you will have a calculator on a test, so it's not my priority in this video, and it shouldn't be your priority in studying either. Okay, so we both divide both sides by negative 4, and I get x equals negative 3. Great. All right, continuing on. Question 10, which of the following number lines shows the solution set of the inequality? So same idea to question 1, we have to solve the inequality, right, which is just like solving equations. We subtract 10 from both sides of the inequality in this case, and we get 2x is greater than 14. And now that we know 2x is greater than 14, we can divide both sides by 2, and we get that x is greater than 7. And that is represented also by A here. We have a open point, open circle, because we're not including 7 and it's greater than, so we're going to the right. All right, moving right along. Question 11. There are 6 members in Marcella's family. They have a $75 gift card to a restaurant. They plan to order a pie for dessert that costs $11.99. Which inequality describes how much each person can spend on their meal if they pay with the gift card? Okay, so all slight variations again, and we just want to go back to some of the key words. So they have a $75 gift card, and they can't spend more than $75 if they're just paying with the gift card. So that means, if we think about this, right, if they have a $75 gift card, they can spend $75 or less. Okay, so that means we're going to have the less than or equal to symbol. So it's either going to be B or D, right, because the total they spend can't be more than $75. And then we think about what we have on the left side of the equation. We have the dessert that they share. And then we're also considering how much each individual family member spends. So we're totaling up. It's a little confusing because we're thinking about spending, and normally spending is like taking away our money. But we're thinking like, how much money are they spending? The maximum it is $75. So we have to add the cost of the dessert with the cost of the dinners together, and then that's going to be, has to be less than or equal to our total amount on the gift card. So that is going to be D. So we want to add that 6N because we're like adding up the two things they have to pay. Cool. All right, question 12. Here's Caleb's work. Writing the expression 5 minus 3x plus 11 minus 9x with fewer terms. Describe a mistake that Caleb made. Okay, so we're looking at Caleb's work. Caleb needs to simplify Caleb actually made a couple mistakes. So it says a mistake, so you can pick one of them. But we'll briefly talk about all of them. So we have 5 plus 11. We can combine these like terms. 5 plus 11 is positive 16. So Caleb is right there. But then we have a negative 3x minus 9x. This should be negative 12x, right? Negative 3 plus negative 9 is negative 12, or like negative 3 minus 9 is negative 12. So that's a mistake. And then the other mistake that Caleb makes is you can't simplify that any further, right? Now we have one term with a variable, with our x, one term without an x, so you can't make this, you can't simplify that any further. Okay, so we have 2 options. The first thing we can do, we can say is negative 3x minus 9x is negative 12x, not negative 6x. That alone would be correct. Or you can also say, or separately, say Caleb combined 16 and negative 6x, but you can't because they're not like terms, so they don't actually simplify together. Okay, so again, you could say one of those, or theoretically both of them, but one would be fine. And now we are going to correctly simplify this, so write an equivalent expression that has 2 terms. So we kind of already did that in our correction. The simplified answer would be 16 minus 12x, or you could write it as 16 plus negative 12x, right, for the same work that we showed up here. And it says to make it, leave it at 2 terms. We have to leave it at 2 terms. We can combine the constants together, and we can combine the variable terms together, but we can't combine constants and variable terms. Great. All right, question 13. Select all of the equations that are represented by this hanger model. So we have a balanced hanger, thus we have an equation, not an inequality. On one side we have 11, and on the other side we have 5 groups of x plus 2. So if we have 5 groups of x plus 2, then we can write that as this: 5 times the quantity, x plus 2 equals 11. And we know that 5 times x plus 2 is equivalent to 5x plus 10. And we can also just directly see that from the picture. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's, and we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So those are the 2 equivalent equations that are represented by this. Awesome. All right, 2 more to go. When fully charged, Jalen's computer works for 20 hours. She uses her computer for about 1.5 hours each day. A low battery warning comes on when there is 2 hours of use or less remaining. Which expression describes the hours of computer charge after D days? Okay, so first of all, they all should start. Okay, well, I guess they don't. Okay, so we're starting at 20 hours. That's our starting point. And so our expression should sort of start with that 20. So that's her starting amount. And then she uses about 1.5 hours each day. So that's like 1.5 D, because it's the amount of hours per day. And D is representing the number of days. And then we want to think about when she uses her computer, the battery life, the battery charge is going down. So we need to have subtraction here. So C is going to be our answer. We start with 20 hours of charge, and we're subtracting an hour or 1.5 hours of charge each day. Okay, so then it's like, okay, where did the 2 come up? Well, now the 2 comes up because we're going to take this from being an inequality an expression to an inequality. So we're now going to write an equation that represents the number of days Jalen can use her computer without the low battery warning coming on. So we're going to take the expression that we just wrote, and then we're going to use the fact that the battery goes on when there is 2 hours or less remaining. So when is there no battery light going on? That's when there's greater than 2 hours of charge left, right? Because the second it hits 2 hours, then the light comes on. So it has to have more than 2 hours remaining left. Okay, and now we can solve this inequality. And to do that, I want to get my variable d by itself. I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. And I get negative 1.5 times d is greater than negative 18. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1.5. And when I divide by a negative number, that's going to flip my sign because we are thinking about negatives, and greater than or less than is sort of like the reverse of our understanding in the negatives. All right, so then we divide and we get 12. So this means d has to be less than 12. Okay, we have to explain what that solution means. So what does d mean? D is the number of days, and we're trying to answer the question of the number of days Jalen can use her computer without the battery warning coming on. So Jalen can use her computer for basically 11 days, or like 11 and a half days, or 11.9 days. But at 12 days of using her computer, the battery light is going to go on. So I'm going to put that in words. Okay, so after 12 days of use, Jalen's computer warning light goes on. Before that, there's no low battery warning. Okay, cool. And then last one, going back to equations. Kiana delivers sandwiches for a restaurant that charges $8.25 for each sandwich. Okay, so that should be highlighting to us. It's going to be 8.25x for each sandwich, plus a $10 delivery fee. And Kiana has an order that totals $59.25. So they add up and they equal $59.50. So now we're going to solve this equation. We're going to subtract 10 from both sides of the equation. We're going to get that $8.25 times x. We're going to divide both sides by $8.25 to isolate x, to undo what's currently happening. And then, again, you'll have a calculator on the test. You're welcome to use a calculator to do this. We're going to get that x equals 6. This order included 6 sandwiches. All right. That's it. So it's kind of a long test, but I do think you all are getting the hang of all of this, and it's really important math, so I want to make sure you're spending the time. If you still have things you're confused about, then good job watching this. Keep working on it. Good luck, everyone.